Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me just begin by saying thank you to all of you for being here and participating in this. I think Senator Murphy has really started the conversation that many of us wanted to have here today with regard to, number one, the role and responsibility of the United States Congress, the role and responsibility of the executive branch, and how the AUMFs that are currently in effect impact that relationship. I think there's pretty broad agreement that the 91 is outdated. I think it appears that the 02, the challenges here, I think a number of the members here believe that it is outdated, and yet at the same time, it would appear that it's been relied on most recently by two different administrations in conjunction with Article 2 capabilities. And just in looking back, it would appear that the attack on General Soleimani by the Trump administration and it appeared that both the Obama administration and the Trump administration had used the 2002 AUMF to justify military action against Iranian-backed militias and proxies, the Iranian government and the Islamic State. No, unless I'm mistaken, I believe they referred to both the Article 2 and the 02 AUMF in their justifications. And I'm just simply going to ask our two attorneys here, am I correct in that assumption? Ms. Kress?
Yes, my understanding is, particularly vis-a-vis the Trump administration, is that it was cited as an additional authority, but the primary authority for the Soleimani strike was Article 2.
Thank you. Would you agree, sir?
I would agree, and I would just note, Senator, that my predecessor and my former colleague, when he came up to testify, with respect to the Soleimani strike, he said, I would emphasize that independent of the 2002 AUMF, the President's constitutional authority under Article 2 provided a sufficient basis in domestic law for the strike. In other words, the 2002 was not necessary. The Article 2 would have been sufficient. The 2002 has been, over the last 6 years, referred to as, I think, an additional or a reinforcing authority.
Thank you. I think the question for many of us here is, the AUMF in a way was an acknowledgement of Congress's role in the declaration of war, or the actions that would be considered warlike. And if we walk away from, or we decide that one of these AUMFs is no longer necessary, then we are also recognizing that the sole authority that the executive branch uses under Article 2 is in some cases not restricted by that same AUMF. So I look at the AUMF as perhaps a restriction or a direction by Congress. And I guess what I'm looking for is in this particular case, Congress had deemed that it was necessary to lay out where those actions were to be authorized. I would suspect that the executive branch of government would not have recognized it as a limitation, but as a further authorization. I don't want to acknowledge or to suggest that the authorizations or the use of force by the United States government is solely reliant on Article 2 responsibilities. And what I'd ask this just very briefly is would it be fair to say that if we eliminated the 01 and the 02, would there be, and I think you've all indicated somewhat this, but is there a need to look at the 01 and perhaps make modifications and update that as part of the overall review of these AUMFs?
So we have stated quite clearly that we believe that it makes sense to revise the 2001 AUMF and look forward to those ongoing conversations with Congress, because the President does respect and appreciate the Article 1 role of the United States Congress, along with his Article 2 authority, which has been the basis What I would say, Senator, because I understand the point you're making, that you want to make sure that if the 2002 and 1991 AUMFs are repealed, that it does not give a green light to the president, any president, to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, without regard to the Article I authority of the United States Congress. I think that is why, indeed, to follow up on Senator Murphy's questions, working on a revised 2001 AUMF would indeed assert further Congress's role in defining the uses of military force. I think every Congress has wanted to make sure that any president of the United States is able to act in the defense of our country.
Thank you. My time has expired. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.